Hello folks, I got here again. Welcome to my home on this very beautiful spring day. The name of this video is called The Why Guy Understands Why People Want Hell. Now when I'm speaking of people, I'm not just addressing the Christian community, because I've seen it in the movies at least. Let's face it, the average person wants justice, okay? I think that's natural. So I get it. I really do. You know, but I do want to address, though, the theology and the doctrine of hell on this video. I know I've done 100 of them. Well, maybe not that many, but you know what I mean. So, you know, if I had my way, there would be a hell. Now, I'm talking about my way, okay? See, the idea of people seemingly getting away with it, it sickens me. It does. So I understand. I really do. I had what I considered I got to put this in the quotes, a righteous anger. I did. By the way, before I keep going, give me one of these right now while we're thinking about it. Or I should say, well, I'm thinking about it. Thank you for doing that, all right? So, speaking of thinking about it, think of this. Think of it. People like Hitler, Stalin, Ted Bundy, David Koresh come to my mind, Jim Jones, Bin Laden, child molesters that we hear about, or that guy in your neighborhood who murdered his family. Are you telling me that they're going to enjoy the same eternal reward as those of us who loved and served God and their fellow man with kindness? We're going to share the same with them? You see, I do get it. I really do. Okay? All I want to say about that, if I would put myself in most people's shoes, I would say, you've got to be kidding me. Really? No wonder the average Christian thinks of those of us that believe that all are going to be saved and reconciled. No wonder they think we're nuts. I get it. I really do. Okay? But however, what if I told you that those people I just listed and people like them, what if, how do I put this? What if the Hitlers, the Stalins, the Bin Ladens, and people like them, what if they no longer existed? I'm not talking about annihilation. No, I'm not. That's stupid doctrine. But what if in their place, instead of them, what if they changed and became what they were always intended to be? As in loving children of God. What if that were to happen? Doesn't that sound like something that would be God's will? It's God's will for you. Those of you and me who judge other people for not being as good as us. That's God's will for us. Are you following me? Okay, well anyway, I just find it so odd and ridiculous how the average Christian can trust God to preserve Scripture. Okay, that men were involved in writing, and by the way, some of those men were pretty bloodthirsty, going in villages. You read Old Testament stories, going in villages and killing men, women, and children. Okay, Book of Samuel comes to mind. All right? Anyway, Christians believe that God can preserve that word, no matter how horrendous it was, okay? And they can trust God to create a hell, yet not trust God to purify and cleanse someone who has done some horrific things? Especially since those attributes most definitely complement God's character and brings glory to His persona, okay? So instead of admitting that we have no idea how He's going to cleanse, purify, and reconcile all people and things that are ungodly, unholy, and horrific, you know, by every loving standard, we fill in that ignorance, we fill in the blank, I should say, with ignorance, by accusing a God of love for doing the exact same things that are ungodly, unholy, and horrific to people who we deem deserve it. Are you following me? Now be objective. Considering all of what I've just mentioned, the idea of hell as eternal conscious torment after we die was the first of many dominoes to fall okay, during the time when I started to truly investigate the truth, versus fiction that supported the hell doctrine. For those who compare yourselves to the pieces of garbage, in my opinion, people that I just described, I get why you can see an obvious difference between yourself and them. I get that. But unless you believe in different degrees or levels of hell, as Dante Inferno implies, okay, you've got to admit that some very sweet, kind people who simply didn't believe in Jesus or serve God as you have, they're going to be in the same predicament as the Hitlers of the world. Excuse me. Okay? For the kind yet unrepentant person, you've got to have a vivid mental image of you feasting at an eternal party with Jesus, while most of humanity, including loved ones and close friends that you knew well, that they're screaming out in agony right now. Right this very moment. If that doesn't become a horrific, sickening thought to you, then you're no better than the Hitlers, Bin Ladens, or the child molesters of this world. That's why there's that verse that says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." Oh my goodness. What kind of God are you trying to introduce people to follow? To justify your perverted way of thinking, you claim how, I gotta do the other quotes, how the Bible clearly says such and such, okay? So it must be true. Without even realizing it, in most cases, you're asking people to follow a moral monster that demands our intimacy under threat of torture. You can't deny that. Like I said, if you think about it, a deity that commands us to love our enemies while he planned all along to torture his. Come on, really? Because of my learned respect for the Bible, it took me years of study to find out there were other faithful ways to understand what Scripture was saying. And that the word hell, as representing eternal conscious torment, was nowhere to be found in Scripture. Yes, it's found in your Scripture because of the Latin Vulgate, and your Scripture was translated via that, okay, over time. But in the original Greek manuscripts, it didn't exist. And not only that, to prove the point, there was schools, okay? And when I say nowhere present, I'm saying nowhere present in the original manuscripts that made the Christian Bible. But it didn't exist as well as a Jewish concept either in their original text. I was shocked to learn that 4 out of the 6 schools of theology in the first 5 centuries, after Christ, Alexandria, Antioch, Caesarea, and Edessa, how they all believed in the ultimate reconciliation of all people. That means everyone was going to be reconciled to God. I also found out that this idiot Jonathan Edwards' famous sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, speaking of someone who deserves hell, if anyone did, he did, how his stupid message became influential in Western Christendom, okay? It actually became the unspoken, or, better not let people really know, it's so deceptive because people will believe it, but only whisper it oftentimes. At least this Jonathan Edwards, even though he's an idiot, he at least spoke it outright, but yet people believe it secretly in their hearts, very deceptively. Anyway, the point is, it became the backdrop for every church that I've ever attended, or visited. In fact, it vividly described the underlying motivation behind every evangelical outreach, every service project, every prayer meeting, and every child program. It's all been fueled by the believe it or else you'll face God's holy, fiery, excruciating wrath that would burn people forever. Okay? here's the fourth time I'm going to use the word idiot. Like the idiot Edwards would proclaim, to experience sheer torment if they didn't respond to his message, his message with sincere love, of course. Gosh, I want to do that again. Okay? And get on the inside of God's favor before it was too late. Does that sound familiar? Okay. From your church or a church you visited? So why did I call Edwards an idiot? Here's one of his quotes. Okay? Disgusting quotes. Quote, "The God that holds you over the pit of hell, much as one holds a spider or some loathsome insect over the fire, abhors you and is dreadfully provoked." Close quote. What a miserable fear-based foundation on which to build a movement of love, huh? But what a brilliant way to manipulate, coerce, and force people into coming forward at an altar call in the name of afterlife insurance, right? So in closing this video, I encourage my viewers to instead of embracing an image, but to instead embrace an image, okay? Which most of my subscribers do already, okay? But in case you talked one of your hell believers friends into watching this video, I want to encourage you, okay, if you're watching this video for the first time, okay, to embrace an image of a gracious, loving, good God that wants nothing more than to encourage you to discover your true self in Him. Our unique place in the beautiful story depicting a restitution and reconciliation of all people, okay, no matter how bad we may think of them right now. I hope that made sense. I do. I know it's easier said than done. So does the word faith come to mind? Okay. It takes more faith to believe in God's ability to love the worst example of mankind into becoming a repentant, loving soul than it takes to believe that they're going to be getting what they deserve in hell. Come on. And I wrote about these kind of things. It's time for an infomercial. By the way, I know I already asked you at the beginning of this video, but I'm asking again. My first book, I'm going to leave 3 links down at the Show Me More section of these 3 books. My first book is called In Defense of God's Love. It looks like this on the front. I'm not going to show you the back. Trying to take some time, save some time. Second book I wrote called Is God Bipolar? Again, I cannot see these on the screen. The screen went blank. I hope it's even recording. Can't even tell. And the third book that I wrote is called No Love, No Fear, No Love, No Fear, and notice how it's spelled, okay? And my fourth book that's just finished the 12th chapter of it is going to be called Christians Believe What? Why? My puppy's barking. Just a moment. Ollie boy! Man, I love that pup. Such a good little boy. Oh, don't bump the stand, goodness. Anyway, like I said, there's 3 links to this, and also there's 4 other ones down in the Show Me More section. Take a look at those, would you? And I do thank you for subscribing if you have, and if you haven't, consider doing so. And look me up on Facebook, too, if you would like, under a group called the Y Guy Group, which is a private group. And my avatar name is John Anthony Jones. I meant to type Jonathan, but I typed out John Anthony. Okay, thank you for viewing.